Bam! What's going on, everyone? And yeah, that's the trailer that I've been using for a long time for Ominus Avenging Death. That's the comic that I'm working on, and I'm going to hopefully launch it. I am going to launch it this year, and I have a tentative date. I'm kind of excited, and I will announce that later. It's tentative because I'm still negotiating and negotiating with the most dangerous negotiator of all, which is my wife. If she doesn't give the approval, nothing happens. So I have to negotiate. So I'm I'm doing battling. I guess no, just using negotiating tactics, buying flowers unnecessarily, chocolates unnecessarily, things like that. So yeah. So today, let me show. Today, also just one second. Let me organize my thoughts. The first thing that I want to let you guys know, please sign up for my campaign. Is launching this year. I have a tentative date, and I'll be able to confirm it as we get closer to that date. The sign up list is pinned in the chat. So if you look, the first thing you see in the chat is the link. So click on that, sign up, and yeah, by doing so, you're going to get exclusive deals on the campaign. Yes, I'm not going to offer these deals to just anybody. I'm giving the sign up list people first dibs on some great deals. The book that I'm offering is going to be priced at $10, but with the deal that I'm going to offer, you'll be able to get two books for $10. So please don't miss out because I'm not going to offer this again. So please sign up. No, so here this is the sign up page. Click it. This is in pinned in the comments. So sign up. It costs you absolutely nothing. No, so just sign up. You'll get an email as soon as you do, just saying thank you for signing up. You'll take a look at some of the art that's in there. And as we get closer to the launch date, I'll show you exactly what you'll be able to get. You'll get two books for the price of $10. I'll also have three covers, three variant covers. They're all done by me. I can't afford anybody else, so they're all done by me. But at least on this campaign, maybe in the future campaign, I might get some amazing guests. I don't know. But yeah, they're all the three variant covers that I'm offering for this campaign, and I'll also give deals on that also, so you can get all three books for a reasonable price. So if you want to get in on these deals, save some money, please sign up. Because and I'm saying please because I would hate for you to miss out on this awesome opportunity to get this book at a cheap price. Because then later, if I do have extra stock, I will resell these books at a much higher price. No, I want to maintain the value of the book, so I want you guys to get in on those awesome deals. So please hit the link, sign up, and yeah, it costs you nothing. If you see what I got to offer and you don't like it, no worries at all. You can unsubscribe. I have no problem with that. And then yeah, so even out of curiosity, just sign up, take a look at what's there, and then if it's not your thing, then no worries, no worries. You can unsubscribe anytime you like. And yeah, so I hope you like what I offer. I've been working on this for a long time. This is a passion project of mine, and I'm going to launch it. I'm going to do it. I'm working on it now, and yeah, so hopefully you guys can help me get it across the finish line and make it into a physical book. No, so yeah, so that's that. I'm going to have that linked in the chat. And today I'm incredibly honored. Today I have this is my biggest guest on this show ever. This is the biggest guest I've ever had on this show. I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do, and you guys gonna have to help me. No, so yeah. So today I'm going to talk with with my guest is a tremendous artist. He's been in mainstream. He's a Comics Gate king, and that alone is just super impressive. He does amazing artwork. I'm a big fan of his book, and I want today to take advantage of this time to pick his brain and try to try to understand the fight and that he's going on with. No, so it's not every day you get legends knocking on your door like that. No, so I want to make the most of this. So yeah, so that's out the way. You'll see this. You'll see this in the links. No, it's pinned in the chat. Here's my banner. Yeah, I forgot last time to put the banner up. Nobody told me. Way to go, guys. You guys dropping the ball. So yeah, so without any further ado, my guest today is the great Bosch Fawstin. He's the creator of Pigman. And please, everybody, yeah, I want to give a shout out to the people in the chat. I got Tank in the chat. Tank, thank you very much for stopping by. And I just want to say also before I forget, and my condolences. I know you've had a great loss recently. In case anybody knows, I know it's not my business probably to say this, but Tank lost his brother. And so just my condolences to you, man. Thank you very much for showing up. It means a lot. And yeah, man, yeah, family losses are really bad. So yeah, Bosch is also in the chat. Yeah, that's great, man. Thank you very much for stopping by. And F Flady, thank you very much, Flady, for stopping by. Bionic Bruz here. What's going on? Mikey Getz is here. What's going on? Thank you very much for stopping by. And yeah, so without any further ado, everybody, please round of applause and please welcome my guest, Bosch Fawstin. I didn't time that right.
How's it going, Elliot?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thank you very much for coming. It's a tremendous honor. I had no idea that you would even consider coming on the show, but I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I mean, I saw your work. It looks great. Ominus looks really, really good. I saw some of the preview stuff. So good luck with that, man.
Yeah. Oh, man. Thank you. Yeah, that means a lot. It's a passion project. I designed. I had the idea for all this when I was 15, 16, many years ago. And it wasn't until I came across the indie scene on Twitter and across Comicsgate that I thought that it would be possible to do this. No, so when I see all these people creating, I was like, hey, I can probably get in on this too. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to bring to life an idea that I thought would never come to life.
Absolutely.
And so it's great. And so far, I've gotten some good feedback. I've gotten great feedback from you, and that was a tremendous honor, no, because to get recognized by your peers and also to get recognized by professionals is just a tremendous honor for me. And I've heard like great things, nice things said to me from EVS, Shane, and John, and everyone, and it's just amazing. And I really appreciate that because I try my best to improve. I'm open for critiques. If anybody's got anything to say about my art, please tell me. I'm always looking to improve.
Absolutely. And do you write your stories as well? Do you write and draw them?
Yeah, I'm writing this story. I wrote this story. So yeah, I'm doing the writing. I'm doing the line art.
It makes it a little more immersive, a little more personal. I appreciate that from cartoonists from Will Eisner to Frank Miller and so on, where everything that's important comes from them. And then of course you might get some colorists and letters, whatever. But it's important to have that single vision. I love that. I love that in cartoonists. It's just more commitment there for the artist himself.
It's definitely I think it's better also because it's more in sync. The word, the art and the story. So I think it's good.
Yeah,
and it's a great undertaking also because writing is not my forte, but I'll do my best. And I got an editor.
Even if you're good at it, it's not easy.
Yeah, definitely. And so so I want to get started and ask you a few questions first, if you allow me to talk about your comic career. Now, how did you get into comics? How was your first? How did you start off in comics?
I think my brother brought home Secret Wars when I was a kid, and I fell in love with it. The Jim Shooter one from 1983.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, I loved that. I love that series. And from that, I went to, of course, the X-Men, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and all those comics. Prior to that, I think I was reading some Star Wars comics. That was about it. So yeah, that was it. And then I think it was when I got into Frank Miller's work when I started to realize I always wanted to draw comics. But I said, you know what? I might want to write them as well because look at what this guy's doing. He's doing a hell of a job writing these stories, and I think his writing was even stronger than his art. Miller. And then of course from there, I got into all the artists, the old artists, from Steve Ditko to Jack Kirby to John Buscema to John Romita Sr., John Romita Jr. as well, who I still like. I mean, I think he still produces at times good stuff, but I just want to see him do more personal stuff as well. And then I discovered Alex Toth, who I consider the greatest comic book artist of all time. I think he is just his finished work is unlike anyone else. His innovations in the field, and he also lettered, penciled, inked lettered, and then he did his own graphic novel, Bravo for Adventure. And he was always considered the artist's artist. That's what he was always considered.
Yeah.
So when I did my first book 21 years ago now, it's Table for One. Takes place it takes place in an underground restaurant in Manhattan in one night. And anything that can happen does happen. That's the gist. And also I used to pitch it at conventions when I used to go to conventions as Dirty Harry as a waiter. And I thought that was a nice enough hook for people to say, okay, I get it. I get the idea. And I sent it to Alex Toth, who I think is the greatest. And I sent a Xerox copy. He sent back this incredibly, generous postcard with his writing. And he said, you should send it here and there. And, you're great at what you do. And I was blown away because I know he was a pretty harsh critic to himself and others. He actually ripped Steve Rude big time for this one comic that he did. So I figured he's going to get me some kind of, harsh criticism, which I was willing to take. I was like, yeah, from the master, bring it on. And, he was very generous. So from there, then when I released the book, it went so far as Marvel was interested. Joe Quesada was interested because he loved that one drawing that I made. I walked through the crowded room, not a soul in sight. It's a guy walking into a crowded room. And the drawing was pretty dramatic. And he loved that. He goes, you got more? I said, I got 81 pages. He goes, send it. So I did send it. He got sick. It got in the hands of Axel Alonso, who's a flat-out communist, who probably threw it in the garbage. So that was my closest, thing to Marvel. And then DC got the art director who actually liked it. And we went back and forth. And then it went to Random House, the book publisher. And that was the most serious, take on the book in terms of their interest. And I sat on it for like a year or two. And I was getting really, really, really frustrated at that point. I was like, you know what? I want to get this out there. I want to get this out to readers. It's been done for a while. So I told Dennis Kitchen, who was my agent at the time, I said, I'd like to self-publish it. And then we'll see what happens from there. So I did. And then I was nominated for an Eisner Award for talent deserving of wider recognition. I was nominated for a Russ Manning Most Promising Newcomer Award at the San Diego Comic-Con. And then I got interest from the producer of the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show from 20 years ago to make an adaptation for it, which I was surprised, to be honest. And while I was doing all that, I already thought about Pigman because that was 2004 when I published it. Pigman, was already in my mind after 9/11, after the atrocity. I was going to school at the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, and that night, the night before the attack. And I remember walking down a certain area where I always saw the Twin Towers, always when I walked. I'm not sure if I saw it that night, but next day I got a phone call, saw the atrocity. And, my Islamic background came back to me. I was born and raised by Albanian Muslim parents. And they were pretty lax. But as I always put it, the Jew hatred was hardcore. The misogyny was hardcore. And the, I guess, condemnation of the West in general. Too much freedom and all that, but they were pretty passive. Again, they didn't know how to read. They had the Quran in the house, but it was in Arabic. They couldn't read Arabic. They just had it, there.
Oh wow! But
it was, as someone writes it, Hugh Fitzgerald writes it. It was the atmospherics of Islam, which did its work on us. Because again, you're born and raised in this country, and you're taught these things that are completely antithetical to American culture, and that Jews were, the scum of the earth and all that. And then you make friends with kids who are Jews. You start reading comic books. You start learning. I think Ethan Beskar said the old, and he often says it. He mocks those who say that they got their morality, they got their values from comics. But personally speaking, I got to say, I think I did. I really believe it because I was reading these superheroes doing these great things and being good guys and stuff, and not lying and not cheating and not doing these things. So that's what I think I picked it up on. So again, I loved all those superheroes, fell in love with it. And then after a while, I said, you know what? After 9/11, I said, I'm going to respond to this atrocity. While I was working on Table for One, I thought about just ditching Table for One and say, you know what? Let me just move on to this, anti-jihad, anti-Islam comic. Instead, I said, okay, let me finish this, but let me put a little commentary in there because I have this scene with the double page spread. Yeah. All these characters talking. So it took place a little after 9/11. So I have some commentary in there, a little commentary. I'm surprised that actually those who nominated me for the Eisners weren't concerned about that because there was some stuff in there that could be considered a little, controversial. But they were fine with it. I also had some language in there that they, some profanity, the N-word and whatnot. So, I just put those things there. I don't want to jump on my own stream. I talk about whatever I want, but this is yours, so I don't want to even
No,
put
yeah,
that.
you're completely
Yeah.
open
Cool.
to any ideas. Huh?
Yeah. So then, from there, I said, okay, my Islamic background, what was the one thing that we hated more than anything else? The pig. The pig was considered a disgusting creature. It's written a number of times in the Quran. And I said, I'm going to wrap my anti-Jasu pearl in pigskin leather. And as I always say, to exploit the Islamic enemy's bigotry. That's how I put it. And it's true because they go crazy over the pig. I remember a cousin of mine buying the wrong bologna and getting her ass kicked because it was
Wow.
pork bologna. You just don't do that. If a pig comes on the screen, my mother recoiled in disgust. So I said, that's what I want to do. So I created a character called Frank Warner, who was an ex-Muslim who wrote against Islam and jihad for years until 9/11, when he saw the atrocity right in front of his eyes, and his wife was a potential victim for it. It didn't work out that way, but he sees it all. And he says, and then he hears Bush say, Islam is peace, and realizes he just crippled our war effort. No politician should be talking about these ideas. Just defend us from this enemy. Don't worry about the ideology. The intellectuals will take care of that. You're just a dumb politicians. So he says, you know what? I'm going to take the war into my own hands. And that's when PIGMAN was born. And then as I was writing it, I said, you know what? I love the idea of taking it to this enemy hard, right? But I also want to deal with the culture war, the political war, the religious war. So I said, you know what? How about if I pull back a little and make a character within the story who creates the PIGMAN comic book? And he has a twin brother. And it's as if I split myself in two, a born-again Muslim and a recovered Muslim. And they go at it. It's a war between them. And then the war between Super Jihad and PIGMAN, that echoes a brothers' war. So it's two stories in one. So I thought that was a good way of getting this out there. And again, I even had Dennis Kitchen try to take it to publishers. And he said, Bosch, they're pussies. That's it. Yeah. I tried to make the best pitch I could, and he's a well-regarded, individual in the industry, Dennis Kitchen, for years. He had, Will Eisner and me as clients for a few years, which is pretty wild. So yeah, he tried to get it out there. He didn't, so I self-published it. Self-published it years ago. And my current thing is it's a relaunch of PIGMAN. It's issues 1 and 2 remastered. It's pig-sized, about 60-something pages. It'll be about 6 issues probably in the end. And I'm going to wrap it up in a pigskin leather hardcover in the end.
Yeah, so I heard that idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's just fun, man. And this whole thing of using my background and stuff. And I had this profound, seeing the people, Americans jumping from the towers. It just it stayed with me, and to the point where I have to make this enemy pay in that kind of way, which I do in the first issue. You'll see it. So yeah, that's the gist about what I've done, and of course I've done thousands of cartoons, literally some political cartoons for Front Page Magazine, for Breitbart, for PJ Media, for even Rush Limbaugh's newsletter years ago.
Nice.
Before he died. So I've been writing in articles also, but my main love is comic books. I love comic books. I love writing and drawing them. Love reading them. Not so much today. I got to say, I'm rereading a lot of the old stuff, getting some stuff right now. Like I got that Daredevil Cold Day in Hell, which was pretty damn good. That was good. That was a surprise. And I'm dipping my toe in getting a little of the Jim Lee Hush thing. I still like some of the art that he does, so I'll do that. But overall, it's about Comicsgate. It's about the King's Comics. It's about individual, like the Conan comic by Titan Comics, which is great. Roberto Della Torre is fantastic. He's like a modern John Buscema. He makes Conan a little bigger than Buscema did. So that's the gist, Elliot. And
nice.
You have any more questions based on that, please?
Yeah. You went through the whole line there. I appreciate that rundown. I wanted to go back to Table for One, and that, how did that idea sprout? It was just
I worked in restaurant business. Yeah, I worked in restaurant business for years, and I knew I wanted to do comics. So I said, you know what? How about if I write my first story? It takes place in a restaurant. It's like a little mini world. You got all these characters, good, bad, and ugly, and make it into just one night and make the most of it. When I was going to a school at the School of Visual Arts, I was taking night classes. I wasn't going like a full school. Every a year or two, I was going to night classes while I was studying on my own, because that's how I really learned, just to write and draw over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Take writing courses from Robert McKee, which was a 3-day intense course, like 12 hours a day, 3 days back to back. I took that a number of times. And of course, reading every book I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
You gotta take this stuff very, very seriously, or else you're gonna get roasted. You
Yeah,
absolutely will. Yeah.
that's actually great that you mentioned that, because
Yeah.
I've always believed also that a good way to become a good writer is also to read a lot. Because
Absolutely.
reading influences a lot of what you write, a lot of the
100%.
ideas that fester in your mind also. So that's awesome, man. That's also my thing. I'm also reading a lot.
Yep.
Comics, at least, no more than books before. No, but yeah, you also and so, sorry, just one thing that I wanted to ask on table
Yeah,
form
please.
to finish that up. Are you planning, or would you ever plan on revisiting that, or is that
I
just
have I have thought
done?
about it, yeah. I have thought about revisiting the main character and seeing what he's up to at some point. I have 2 other stories, after well, I'm working on another graphic novel right now, which is not announced yet. It'll be
Okay.
350 pages. I wrote the script, took me about a year. It's an adaptation of a book that's pretty popular. I wish I could announce it. I did once or twice. I said, until they officially announce it, I want to keep a lid on it.
Yeah.
But it's one of the greatest books I've ever read, if not the greatest, hands down. And it's a 700-page book, so mine will be literally half of that. And I've been just drawing the pencils now, and it's incredibly exciting. I can't wait to get it out there. I'm gonna write
Nice.
pencil, ink, letter, color, do the works, and I think it'll be announced at some point this year. So that's something else that I'm working besides Pigman. And then I got 2 other stories besides that. 2 fantasy stories. I didn't intend them to be fantasy stories. It just ended up that way, because that's just the nature of the story. I said, okay, I think I'm going to go that route. I'm not going to. Oh no, I don't really do fantasy. Well, this is fantasy to some extent. Pigman. It's like
Yeah.
it's a power fantasy. It's like,
Yeah.
what would I do if I had the power to take on this enemy? Okay, and then go from there and see what I can do and what I can personally do, if I were in those shoes. And then also, of course, the main character reflects me. I reflect him back and forth to the point where he ended up on television in the first issue. Then I ended up on television after that. I was on a daily show because they were trying to mock me with a Pigman. It says
Yeah, I saw that.
2011.
Yeah.
And I made the most of it. I said, hey, of course I'm going to go. I want to promote Pigman. I don't give a shit what they do. They want to mock me, go for it. And it
There's
was
no
fun.
such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they say. And, something like this, it was great. And then a few years later, it was announced that there was a contest for Draw Muhammad. And it was a few months after the Charlie Hebdo massacre on January 7th, 2015, where Muslims slaughtered a dozen people at the Charlie Hebdo offices, and they published Muhammad cartoons. And Pamela Geller responded because after that, some Muslims in Texas, Garland, Texas, had a Defend the Prophet conference, which is basically them running over the dead bodies of those innocents to defend the prophet of this religion who wanted those people dead. So she responded with, hey, I'm going to have a Muhammad cartoon contest, and we're going to have it at that same place, at the same location. We're going to announce the winner at the same location. So I entered, and I won the People's Choice Award. And for Breitbart was having it as well. They were promoting it. And then I got a phone call that said, will you be in Texas? I said, did I win? We can't tell you, but be there. I'm like, okay. So I flew into Texas, and I was announced as the winner. And about a half hour after I was announced as the winner, these 2 jihadists came to mass murder us. And they got their heads blown off outside the facility. They opened fire. And we found out a year later there was an FBI agent driving in front of them, dressed up like a Muslim, pretended to be a Muslim, who was egging them on, who drove off. So the FBI would have allowed us to be murdered, if we weren't armed to the teeth, and we were. So after that, my life was flipped around completely. Completely. I was drawing Muhammad a number of times before that because I never knew about the prohibition of drawing Muhammad when I was Muslim ever. I didn't know that that's a forbidden thing. And technically speaking, it's not, because the Shiite Muslims have been drawing him for centuries, but that's a whole different story. I think just wanted to, hey, hairless bourgeois. I think they just wanted to flex their muscles after 9/11 to say, you can't do this, and you can't do this, and this, and this. And my thinking was, as a free man, as an American, if you're going to try to threaten, cartoonists for drawing anything, I don't give a shit what it is, I'm going to draw it as act of defiance. So my life was flipped over completely. And then 3 years later, I was announced as the judge for a new Mama cartoon contest in the Netherlands, and I would have been at The Hague in the Netherlands announcing the winner, Dra Muhammad, in the middle of my speech, and it would have been the first time I would have been to Europe, so I was really proud to be part of it. And it was canceled because the threats were so outrageous. They said they couldn't handle them. I got literally thousands of death threats after that. More than I ever got for anything else, which is crazy. So yeah, after that, my life was flipped over. Whatever my life was before that, now it's completely different. But I wouldn't change anything because, again, free speech to me is the end all be all. It really is. To me, it's the issue of all time, not just of this time. Because if we can't argue, if we can't persuade, if we can't tell the truth, if we can't defy, those in power, it's not worth being alive, to me.
Yeah.
So that's how seriously I take this. And this work itself, I mean, I take on the Islamic enemy, but I also take on the left and the cowards on the right who appease this enemy. That's what my book does. So yeah, it's on all levels. There's courtroom scenes, there are television programs, there are panels at conventions with these battles of ideas between the Muslims and leftists and Christians and atheists and so on. So it's something that it's fun to do, and I'm just being part of Comics Gate now and being part of Comics Gate Kings. It was an opportunity for me to relaunch PIGMAN. And by issue 3, it'll be all new material at that point, all new material. So, but right now I'm gonna soup it up. I'm gonna make it I'm gonna look at it again with some fresh eyes and see what I can do to improve it, expand it, make it a little bigger, make it a little stronger. And
nice.
So that's where I'm at with this. But thanks, man, Elliot.
Awesome. And just one more question about Table for One. And how do we get that book? Is that available digitally or
now? It's out of print. It's part of my campaign. It's a reward, my campaign that you can order, directly from there. So you guys can order it.
It'll be a new print run.
Yeah, I got to do. Yeah, okay. Exactly. And also, I'm after Comics Gate, after I was announced king and stuff. You guys, Comics Gate cleaned me out. I got 4 books now out of print. I got a lot of prints out of print. I got all the old PIGMAN comics gone. So I say, you know what? I think it's a good opportunity to relaunch PIGMAN now because I think I got some good backup. I appreciate it, Ellis Bourgeois. Thanks, man. Yeah, and I got, and also I got Jim Shooter, I got Chuck Dixon, who liked PIGMAN, who were willing to say something about it publicly, which I gotta say for Jim Shooter, that guy, to me, he's the best. He is so damn great. I love him too. I think he was a great editor. I think he was the finest editor Marvel ever had. Sorry, Stan Lee. I think he was. And then also bring in the Secret Wars and launching this, company-wide crossover with all these characters. And then his Valiant and his Defiant. It was all good stuff, man. Yeah. And as he put it in those days, they were competing with Image and all that. He goes, well, we're going to outstory them. And they did. They really did. If you read those stories, I mean, in terms of Image had all the flashy art, but my God, the stories were, to me, unreadable. But
that was the weakness.
Yeah, it definitely was. And again, I got them. I didn't get the Liefeld. I got the Marcel Vester, who I love, who I still love. I think he's a great artist, man. And McFarlane, at times I like him. I loved his Hulk. I didn't like his Spider-Man, and so on. But yeah, these so Jim Shooter liked it, was willing to say so, which I gotta say was really, I was surprised because I don't know, many people wouldn't be associated with that kind of work that's considered controversial. To me, it's not controversial. I'm just telling the truth that I know, and that this enemy has to be defied, and that's how I do it.
Yeah, that's also what I appreciate about Jim, because people, I hear stories. I've seen the interviews. I hear stories of how hard he is on people. And I mean, it may be like that, but if you take a look at back of his line of art, of the work that he's put out in the time that he was editor, incredible work.
Frank Miller's Daredevil, Walt Simonson's Thor, John Burns' X-Men, Fantastic Four, everything was just on all cylinders hitting. Yeah. And I don't give a shit if he pissed you off that day. Look at the results. It's like Michael Jordan, right? Yeah. Me and John Malin we're talking about that because he was talking about what an iron fist that Jim Shooter had. I said he did, but also look at Jordan with the iron fist that he had on the Bulls. And people might, say he was an asshole. You guys got rings for that, man. Yeah. You guys got rings because of that. And he was a hardcore competitor, as was Jim Shooter. Jim Shooter, when he came on, they were late comics. He goes, no more late comics. No more late comics. That's it. We're not going to fuck around here. We're going to make sure these things are on time, and no more writer editors, because writers used to edit their own stuff. He goes, I want an objective eye to come in there and make sure you guys are, are doing the right thing, and so on and so on. And Byrne will bitch about him to this day, whereas Miller actually, he will. And Miller, complained about him years ago, but even a few years ago, he was like, you know what? Jim was a great ally to have, because he was story, always hitting it home. And he goes, he finally connected with Miller. And Miller produced, to me, in terms of writing, to me, the greatest writer in comics, period. From Batman Year One, Dark Knight Returns, Daredevil Born Again, and so on. His Sin City comics, 300. In terms of sheer writing, the best, the finest we ever had.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for people that are creative artists, writers, who want to improve, they need finesse, they need pressure, they need guidance, they need to be told what to do, and you can't get your diamond unless you put pressure on it.
100%.
What he does is great, and that's what I appreciate also about John, because John is also harsh with his critique. He'll look at art and he'll just go in on every single detail, but if you really want to learn and improve, you'll apply it, and then your work will speak for itself. I saw that, for example, what you guys did to the Yaira cover. That Yaira cover was horrible. It was a disaster, and just a few minor changes, taking out a few elements, made everything much more visual.
It really was. It was great.
I had John pointed out that there's a staircase there, and I had not seen a single staircase for anything.
Me neither.
He's got the sword.
John's got a great eye. I mean, he really does. He even ripped Dan Lawless, and Dan took it. He was like, all right, and he changed it. See, that's the thing. I mean, we all have egos. Are they healthy or not? And if they're healthy, we're willing to listen. If they're not healthy, that means we have a deficit there, and that's why we get very, very defensive. That's when you're in trouble, when you don't take this kind of good advice, and it's given freely. I mean, John made it better, made Dan's cover better, and he made it also the Yara thing better. You got to listen to those things, man. Especially people who have been there. It's important, because we want to get better. Every single comic that we make, we just want to get better, and there's no reason why you can't. I mean, right now, Walt Simonson is probably in his 70s. He's still producing kick-ass work with Ragnarok. It's fantastic. If you haven't read it, guys, get it. 40 years ago he was doing Thor, and he's still doing Thor now, just in a different iteration with a skull head. Which is awesome. And the art is fantastic. The writing is great. It's as good as anything he's ever done. So there's no excuse. There's no reason for people to get worse and worse with age. None. I don't know what Miller's excuse is, but he's gotten worse.
It's sad to see that. No?
It really is, man. It's like, what the hell, man? Some of those things, like, are you kidding me? If your name wasn't there,
even at our own personal pride, like to put out that artwork and put your name on it. Like, I mean, even if no one tells you that looks like crap, you should look at it. And then if you don't, out of your own personal pride, will say, this is the best I got. I mean, it's
100%. And some editors are giggling, but they're like, yeah, but it's Frank Miller. It'll sell the cover. That's his name. And that they even think it should. But yeah, it's like it becomes, you got to be honest. You got to be honest with your own effort, with your own abilities, with your own whatever you put out there. And Frank Miller right now is not honest with his work. He's not. I hope he gets back, because again, tell some kick-ass stories. Get some artists who give a damn, because you clearly don't on a visual sense. But tell some stories, Frank. That's your strength. And I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
And speaking about the artists, like, what artists would you say have been influential to you in your work, or what artists do you get a lot from? Which ones do you like to study?
I like so many, and so many I mean, first of all, Alex Toth, the finest to me. But even a guy like Art Adams, a guy like Rick Leonardi, a guy like Joe Madureira, if that's how you pronounce it. They're great. I mean, they're just, Frank Whiteley is fantastic. I love his stuff. His faces are off at times. I think he uses himself as a model, which you shouldn't. Frank, my man, I don't think you should use yourself as a model for Superman, because sometimes what he did. It's like, holy shit, that's Frank Whiteley. And then other times, it's really good. And his anatomy, the structure, the storytelling is fantastic. John Buscema, of course, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, all these guys, John Romita Jr. And then, there's looking back now, I mean, right now, Roberto Della Torre, and then of course the Kings, and they're all incredibly different from one another, which is really something else. I don't think it's by design; it just happens that way. We're all individuals. We're doing our own thing, and we all look very different from the other. But as long as we are focused on telling the story as well as we can, you know, yes, Dark Side Ragnarok is Ragnarok, and then it has subtitles for each part. I think he's releasing the 4th part of it this year. I don't know exactly when. It's fantastic. It's great, and it's as good. It's as good, if not better, than anything he's done before. Where again, he's that model where it's like, wow, this guy's still kicking ass at his age, doing great work, and he has a great attitude. Also, Walt Simonson, he's you know, he's such a nice guy. But yeah, so a lot of these artists, man, Will Eisner, but yeah, then the you know the ones like, I'm just trying to think right now in terms of, I'm looking at my shelf. Frank Miller, clearly. I mean, when he cares, he's a great artist. When he gives a damn, he's great. A lot of times, he doesn't give a damn really. But in terms of, you know, John Byrne, I mean, John Byrne, he's an asshole, and I think even Ethan brought it up the other day, and it's true. I mean, I was on his forum, and you know, kick me out if you say one wrong thing. It's like, all right, I still love his work. I think he's a fantastic artist. From those X-Men, I don't think anyone has touched his X-Men. I think Jim Lee was the one who came pretty close, but him and Terry Austin, perfection in terms of mainstream comic book work. I don't think anyone's ever did it better. Mainstream superhero work, the best. And Terry Austin just elevates everyone. Even the Fantastic Four versus X-Men that John Bogdanov penciled, that Terry Austin inked, the best work of John Bogdanov ever. I mean, he is. I mean, and it's almost a cliche to say, but it's true. He makes everyone look better. And I mean everyone. It's an amazing thing. He made, you know, he inked Miller's last issue of Daredevil when he left, 191, and it was incredible. Very different than Klaus Janson, but still incredible work. So yeah,
you showed off that Doctor Doom cover of Secret War. Yeah, incredible work.
Very awesome. And you know what? That was the only cover he inked of that entire series. The only thing but he just took Zek's art and just
it's almost a shame to see the colors on it, because you said that they took a lot of the line work off.
They did. They actually put some, because I guess they wanted to make it look a little more battle damaged, but it took away some of that fine detail. And nobody adds detail like Terry Austin. Nobody. In terms of, and he was even great over Toth. You know, he inked Toth for a few comics. It was a Superman, Batman comic, a Green Lantern, and it was fantastic. And Toth loved his inks also. And he used I think a dip pen, a crow quill. I forgot what it's called.
The nib, the 102,
102, exactly. And he was asked about it. He was asked, what do you ink with? He goes, it doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, you would tell us, you know, if it didn't matter. But I know what he means in principle. I use a brush, I use pens, I use, you know, markers and stuff. I mix it all up now. I use a brush exclusively for Table Fawn, except for the panel lines. But and then for Pigman, the Killian parts, the one of the twins, his story is all inked in pen, and then the Pigman is all inked in brush to slightly differentiate the two worlds. Okay, Mikey,
yes, I've heard a lot of that.
Yeah, I read Saga for a little while, and it was Fiona, what's her name, and also Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked the Vaughan stuff. I loved his cliffhangers in Why the Last Man and this as well, and that's something that I do as well. I definitely love cliffhangers. I love that stuff.
And
Fiona
also
from Headless Bourgeois.
Yeah, Fiona Staples. Yeah, and how often, like in one work day, or how many hours a day do you dedicate to art, or how many do you do? For example, do you do a page a day?
I do sometimes more. I was doing actually for this thing, the current project that I'm doing, I went up to 7 pages. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds like hacking it out like a Jack Kirby and John Buscema where they just did layouts. But these are the most detailed layouts, roughs I've ever done. I wouldn't even consider them roughs. I could go actually transfer them to the Lightbox when I blow them up and just do it directly from there. This is how much I put into these. And I'm actually penciling in all of the dialogue to see if it'll fit. Exactly, and where and how. And I'm very conscious also, you know, as John is, about the placement of the panels, getting them off the middle, in the corners, top and bottom, and so on. The third issue of Pigman is the first comic I ever did, you know, with a digital lettering, and I didn't know how to cut off the tops and bottoms. So there, you know, I got to redo that, which is fine. I mean, that'll be issue 2 of the current relaunch.
So you said with Pigman, you're doing issue 1 and issue 2, which condenses the 6 issues that you did before?
Actually, no. I've only done 3 issues so far, but it will end up being 6. And
Okay.
issue 1 of this relaunch is called, in the old days, well, the old days, it's funny, 2011, 2010, I released The Infidel featuring Pigman. That's what it was
Okay.
called. Now it's just called Pigman. I think it's just simple, clear, direct,
Yeah.
and just better. And people then they'll get a bonus. Oh, okay, there are 2 stories here. There's a one hero creating this, and therefore that, and they also echo each other. There's an echo between both stories. By when issue 2 comes, the ending, you don't know what's going to happen to them. Let me just leave it there. And they're both in a dire, place, both of them. So yeah, and again, the stories do echo each other. The brother does think of his twin brother when he's thinking of the character Super Jihad that is drawn, who's based on his brother basically, and so on. But sorry, what were you saying? What was the question? Sorry. Okay.
You said the issue
Yeah.
1 through 3 are the same issues that you did before. You just
Yes.
redrawing them again.
Exactly. So issue 1 of this relaunch will be issue 1 and 2 combined, and issue 2 will be the 3rd issue, which was already a big issue. It was
Okay.
50 something ish pages. So that'll be all. But I'm going to add more. Again, guys, I'm going to look at it, say, what can I do here to improve it? Because again, some fresh eyes. I've gotten better, and I can do that. And also the dialogue, and punch it up a little, maybe cut some, and so on. But by issue 3, it'll be all new material at that point. All new material. And this one has all new covers as well. I have a number of things, a number of extras in there, and I have 9-page preview. It's on FundMyComic, guys. Check it out when if you can, when you can. So yeah,
it's actually actually here on the screen for the mods that are in the chat. Please hit the link so people can back that. And
thanks a lot.
Yeah, great stuff. No, thank you. And now I wanted to also ask, take advantage also of asking questions about like why Pigman. What is the mission with Pigman? And you mentioned earlier that you want to because you say that Muslims they say that they're offended by pig skin, and so you want to go at them, and then
there are bigotry, as I say. I think it's funny, but it's true.
And my question is let's see how to phrase this.
Sure. Elliot, you asked me about my day could go for hours upon hours upon hours, and then sometimes take a little break and do something else and do the other project and do the updated Pigman. But hours, I can't even say. Sometimes 12 hours, sometimes 7, sometimes 5. Sometimes I can get 3 pages done within maybe 6 or 7 hours. And when I say pages, again, these are detailed roughs that I'm thinking through as much as I possibly can and getting it on there. So I don't think I'm going to deviate too much from what I laid down in the actual final, designs. But again, this is the longest, the biggest pages I've ever worked on. It's 14 by 21. And so the book itself will be 8 by 14, the actual book itself. So it'll be a tall book, and there's a reason for that. And I had to fight the publisher to get that. I said, look, and they said no, and I said, I gotta fight for this. I really do, and here's why. And they said, you know what? Okay, good. So we'll do that. So yeah, it's sometimes just hours upon hours, and it could be 12 hours, it could be more. And when I'm doing the technical stuff, it can go for 12 to even longer, meaning lettering and whatnot. You could just sit and do that for as many. But when it comes to the design work, you need a break, I believe, when you're creating the layouts, because that takes a lot of imagination, a lot of creativity. And as you know, it's exhausting at times. You're just sitting there, but for hours go by, like, whoa, you're drained because you got mental work going on, you have physical work of your hand, you have your thought, you got to improve it, make it as good as you possibly can. By a number of hours, you're more or less drained, and you don't want to go to a certain point. You don't want to continue when you're exhausted, because then the work will not be.
And then your posture also, like if you don't get good correct posture,
I got this table. It's almost straight, not exactly, but I love the working that way, because it's like
you have everything there.
Yeah, I don't want to be leaning over. I want right here, literally right there. So it's with my head working exactly. And I can see exactly what's going on. Some artists, I believe, they warp their work by not doing that, because they work on flat, tables, and you see the art's warped. I think Carmine Infantino did that. I might be mistaken, but that's what it looks like to me. They look like pancakes almost, faces and body. It's very weird. But yeah, so it's important to do that. And again, it depends on the project and what's required for me to do. So it could be hours upon hours, but you don't want to exhaust yourself to the point where you start doing mediocre work, because when you're exhausted, you're gonna naturally not give as much effort as you could when you're fresh. So you got to be careful with that, At least
Awesome.
I, yeah,
Awesome. And just also, I was curious. You said that the speaking in this case now about your faith and the
yeah,
Muslim, and then your background in that case. You said you were you were born or you were raised as a Muslim,
yeah.
and currently you're not a Muslim.
No,
Um, are you practicing another faith, or have you
no.
just?
I left religion. I left it all. Something about Islam where they create, I think, more atheists than any other religion. I believe that because it's such a bad taste that I got about religion and all that and faith. Where for myself, it was always a matter of my love of truth, my love of morality, my love of right and wrong. And that's what got me again. The comic books, they emphasize that aspect also about life, because they didn't, push religion on the characters. The characters were pretty much religious. They weren't really, Peter Parker, Superman, Batman. We don't know where they stand in terms of that, but
Yeah.
we sure as hell know that, where they stand in terms of morality, right and wrong. So that's what I learned. So I always was, I think, interested in those things. And Islam did not do that, because it was something about the dishonesty, the fundamental dishonesty of the religion and the people around it, the lies they're willing to tell for big things and small. To me, that was unacceptable, and it wasn't something horrific that I left. No, it was just that natural thing to say, you know what, that's not right. That's not right. Hating people for what? For what reason? Because they're not Muslim? What the hell is that about? And so on
Yeah.
and so on. So I
Okay.
left it, but I retained my love of truth, my love of morality, and my love of right and wrong.
Okay.
And
So
justice. I mean, those things are deadly important to me. And I got friends who are religious. Some of them tried to, hey man, I said, no offense to you. I respect you. I like you. I'm not gonna, shove my atheism on you either. But I don't even think of it like my atheism. I'm not a militant atheist. I just
yeah.
left Islam. That's it. And I didn't, there was nothing else that appealed to me outside of Ayn Rand's work, her philosophy,
Yeah.
Ayn Rand, objectivism. That's what really got me into understanding philosophy and, and morality, a morality based in reality, not based in faith.
Okay.
That's, yeah.
So it didn't. So it didn't push you towards another religion. It just
No,
pushed
not at
you away
all.
completely. Okay.
Completely. Against God,
And
against religion, everything. And again, not against good, not against right and
yeah.
wrong, not against truth. I love those things. To me, that's deadly. I know, believe me, some atheists, sorry, some religious people, you can't be good with a God. I said, okay, then call me evil. I don't know what to say to that. I don't say you're good because of God. I say you're good because you're good. And I know that
Yeah.
objectively. I know you as a good person. Believe me, I mean, we know religious people who are no damn good, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's like you get atheists who are pieces of shit and who are good people. You get Christians and Jews and Muslims who are great people and then pieces of shit.
Yeah.
That's not a great marker for good and bad people. It really isn't. I know people like to put on the cloak of religion to get
Yeah.
away with murder, but and some are generally good people regardless. But I think it's up to them more than anything else. More than the religion, it's up to them. I think they make the
Yeah.
choice to be good. I don't care what influences they have. I just don't. I think we make our own choices whether to be good or bad. You want to say it's for religion? That's fine. You want to say that? Fine.
Okay.
But I think it's your choice in the end, individually.
Interesting. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Good. And so the principle, like the principal concept is like that you want to because Muslims mention that you cannot draw Muhammad, but you
Yeah.
want to do it, and you draw it. And what about the argument from the other side that it's offending towards their religion?
I
So
know I've heard that argument, but I will say this though. The only thing I say is once people were threatened with murder over it, fuck them
yeah,
at that point. I don't give a shit what they say. And once they actually murder people over it, you have no leg to stand on, you lowlifes. You can't tell me,
mm,
oh, it's insulting. I said, you guys saw people murder over these things and you didn't do shit about it. You didn't even speak out against it.
mm,
You have no moral leg to stand on. So
yeah,
I don't buy that crap. And also one thing, who are they to tell anyone what we can or can't draw?
yeah,
It's, that's the way they do it in their countries. Okay, fine. You don't want to draw Muhammad? Don't. You can't tell me not to. And especially
yeah,
when you threaten people to do that. That's why I had to stand up for those guys in 2005, the Danish Muhammad. I've been drawing Muhammad for 20 years. I've drawn him over 700 times now. And it's not just people say, "Oh, you're just trying to mess with them." Mess with them. These people are trying to kill me. This is not a game here. I'm not playing a game where, oh, I'm just doodling. Hey, no. These guys want to murder me, and they almost did in Texas 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years next week. 10 years.
10 years next week.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
Yeah, we have a question from Dennis. Also, agnostic or atheist?
Yeah, I'm an
atheist in that case, right?
Yeah, I just agnostic. I call it fagnostic in the sense where they don't want to take a position. I believe or I don't believe. Sometimes I do say, make a decision, guys. It's either or. It really is. You believe or you don't. So
because I wanted to say something about this struggle, this fight, because I find it really interesting. Because we see it in the mainstream also, like it's acceptable. Because from my case, Bosch, I'm a Catholic, and I do my best to practice the faith. I'm not what I wouldn't consider myself a cafeteria Catholic. Like, I mean, this last week we had Holy Week, and I participated in all of the events. So I try my best. I try my best to do my best to do the teachings of the book, not necessarily follow some of the people that lead the church, because they also but the teachings in the book itself, I think, is where I try to lay my focus on. And so, like, it's funny in mainstream media that it's so acceptable to offend the Christian faith and offend this other faith, but it's not necessarily for the Muslim faith. And
absolutely.
I was thinking about this, because it's gotten to the point where these things are acceptable, because in essence, in our book, we're not teaching you that if you don't follow our faith, we have to kill you. No, essentially in Catholicism, that's not what it teaches. No, and now it's not also to say that Catholics haven't killed, because yes, we have. No, there have been crusades. We have
absolutely, but
we have tangled with violence.
Let me say something about that, Elliot. I, even though being atheist, I have to see things as they are. That point about right before the Crusades, Muslims sacked Jerusalem.
Yeah,
the Pope at the time was like, we can't just let that happen, man. Yeah, we gotta do something about it. So they got bloody, and unfortunately, it spread wild to the point where they started not just taking out the Muslims, they started taking out Christians themselves, who they thought were lax, who thought they were weak, Jews, and so on. But it lasted for about 200 years, which is bad enough. Yeah. 200 years, though. We have 1,400-year jihad, never ending. Last week alone, 576 human beings were murdered in the name of Islam last week alone. Yeah. There's a website called religionofpeace.com. They calculate all these deaths, say all the body tolls. 576. That's unacceptable. That's unbelievable. And we get, Christianity gets it, Judaism gets it like no one. And they leave Muslims alone because they're scared shit. And that's just
and I think that's because that's why I wanted to ask her. Like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Quran, I think it says, or there's parts of the Muslim faith that say, like, if this person doesn't believe, then death to that person. Is that correct?
Wherever you find them, cut off their fingertips, slice their necks, and it happens to be this one. It's called the verse of the sword. Every single chapter of the Quran, I read it twice. I needed to know this enemy, what they think. But also one thing, Elliot, they tell us, but there are peaceful passages. Yes, but there's something in Islam called the doctrine of abrogation, meaning if something is said in the beginning, live and let live, but if there's a contradicting statement later that says kill the infidels where you find them, you go with the final one, because that supersedes that one, and now it has deleted that one, it has abrogated that one. So whenever Muslims say this, they know that they're lying, because they say, well, there's peaceful stuff in there. But they've been taken over by the violent ones, and the violent ones are the later passages. If not, the final chapter is basically all-out war for all time. And you look at the ho-hos that they produce. Of course, that's a case. If they were this peaceful thing that they claim to be, there wouldn't be any wars in the Middle East the way there are. There wouldn't be, every time Muslims come in different countries, there wouldn't be rapes and murders. To the point of lunacy, to the point of, why the hell did you bring these people in here? They have no experience in civil society. And again, it's not about individual Muslims. I have Muslim cousins who still call me. I spoke to one, a week or two ago. And there's no animosity there. Why? He's born and raised in America. He's more American than anything else. He'll still call himself Muslim. He won't necessarily like my stuff, my comics. He probably won't. He probably won't get them or recommend them.
Yeah.
But there are individual human beings. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the ideology and the true believers. That's the problem. Not the individual Muslims who may or may not be devout. The true believers, the ones who actually take it. And that's a problem also when it comes to the true believers are the jihadists, not the passive Muslims. That's the true believers. Osama bin Laden is a true believing. He's walking in the footsteps of Muhammad, who actually waged war himself. He's a warlord. That's a problem. None of the other, prophets did that. He did that. And that colors the entire religion to the point where if you want to be the true believing Muslim, if you want to take it, you want to be called the basest Muslim, as base as hell, you got to follow Muhammad and you got to get, violent.
Yeah, definitely. And that is completely contradictory or completely different to what you would expect from Catholicism or Christianity in general. Because in the book, we're taught, to your enemies, give them the other cheek. Or you should be willing to sacrifice your life, to save this person's soul. And so,
that's problem when it comes to if there's a Christian ethic that is taking on this war against jihad, it's a problem because they're going to basically turn the other cheek and they're going to run roughshod over them. It's a real problem. It has to be the point where you have to defend yourselves. You have to, as a people, as a group, from Jews to Christians to Hindus that are being slaughtered to Buddhists. I mean, India has probably one of the worst. 80 million Indians have been slaughtered across the centuries. 80 million in the name of jihad. That's a genocide. That's a genocide. Muslims want to talk about genocide in critical Palestine. Give me a break. You're the ones who went and raped and murdered all these men, women, children. Horrific attacks. And then you got these people on the right, which is unfortunate. There's a very fashionable anti-Semitism, Jew hatred going on now, and I don't see them as real rightists, because rightists to me are about liberty and freedom. The right is more freedom, more liberty. The left, when it comes to religion or the secular, is tyranny. It always has been. It always will be. The more right you go, the more liberty-based you are. I know that people pretend that if you go to the extreme right, it's just bad. It's just not the case. You can't to extreme liberty. What's that? People call it chaos and anarchy. That's not the case. No, that's just dangerous. To have a place that's I guess. Every July call himself a anarcho-capitalist. The guy doesn't know, man.
That's a bunch of crap.
It's a pose that he puts on, and then he pretends he's a Christian, and then he says doesn't support anything in terms of Trump or whatever. And Trump, however flawed he is, he's 10 times better than what we had last time. 10 times better.
A million times better.
Yeah,
and that's what I was saying earlier about media. Like the mainstream media, they see that one idea is about peace, and then the other idea is about war and an attack. And so they see, I don't want to mess with this guy because their whole model is exactly.
Yeah.
So
and then they'll go after hard against Christianity, hard.
Because they know that we won't fight back, and not in that sense, in that case.
And so they're using Christians' ethics against them, and they're also just afraid of criticizing Islam. We have to criticize Islam. We have to. And people say, aren't you afraid to do this? I'll say, I'm afraid not to criticize. I'm afraid not to draw Muhammad. Are you kidding me? I want to live a free man. And if I'm, again, I've drawn him over 700 times. Why? Because most people don't. And I want to keep that kind of world at bay, the world where you can't draw Muhammad. That's a hellhole. I don't want this country to be a hellhole. I don't want this society to be a hellhole. I think it's important for us to defy this evil. And again, we are at war and we pretend we're not. They say, well, those wars are over now. What wars are over? Jihad is still going. 500
it's just not in your face. It's just not promoted in your face. I mean, it's always happening, but they just won't promote it.
They'll say, if it's not at my doorstep, it's not happening. That's insane. I will always write about anywhere across the world, any country in Africa. I will write about it, post about it. I'm not like also Christians are being also, taken out by these savages. Jews across the world, in Kashmir, in India, they're doing this. So it's not a point. To me, it's not a point of I'm going to say only they're going after Christians. They're going after all of us, but they go after the Jews a little more. There's that special hatred for them, not just from Muslims. I'm talking about communists. I'm talking about all these people and these dirty, shady people on the right who I think aren't really on the right because they're collectivists. If they're racist, then that means that they see people in terms of groups. That's as leftist as it gets. That's as collectivist as it gets. Individual rights to me, that's the thing.
Definitely. And yeah, Thumb Ugly says, I think the US must put the US first. I agree, though. It's a dangerous idea to ask the current young men in the society that hates them, go die for us in yet another place that doesn't like you. Dangerous, yeah. And he says the Crusades were a good thing. Yeah.
I understand Thumb Ugly, but at the same time, it's like this. After 9/11, what are we supposed to do? Turn the other cheek? Absolutely not. We got to kill those fuckers. We have to. We have no choice. And unfortunately, we had a guy who I guess Bush was a born again Christian because he was like a fuck up, taking coke and all that, messing around. So he felt he had to go a little more Christian than usual and turn the other cheek. He say Islam means peace and all that. Shut up, man. Just defend us. Unleash our soldiers. You don't have to worry about that. And again, when they say 20 years of war, we weren't at war for 20 years. If we were actually at war, if we unleashed our soldiers, very limited time that we would have taken out this enemy. They would never have hit us ever again. We didn't do that. Bush said, don't do this, don't do this, don't go there, don't do, that's what it was. He was. I mean, he was. He absolutely was. He sucked. He is a Bush, But anyway, I just, I understand that, Thumb Ugly, but at the same time, thanks, man, Dennis. At the same time, it's like these wars have to be fought. They're coming in our face. They're hard. They're killing us and telling us and daring us to do anything in response. Like we have to. We have no choice. I don't care, But again, a lot of people, I think, in the West, they fancy themselves good. I think they're too good to recognize evil and too good to fight evil. That's a problem. We got to be ruthless here. We have to, because they're coming for us.
And also I wanted to ask you about the change from believer to non-believer, or from, because you were a Muslim, but my question is, like, being a Muslim or being from the inside, you were not able to see these teachings and the violence and things like that.
We always heard these things about the Mujahideen, which is the jihadists and stuff. It's like we were the Mujahideen. That's how they are referred to, the fighters, right? And we always heard that, and we heard that they're great fighters. I'm like, great fighters. I said, aren't they killing like innocents? Yeah. Aren't they blowing up, innocents? That's not a fighter to me. They're not warriors, They're targeting the civilians. I mean, that's not.
They can't defend themselves. That's correct.
Yeah, and so things like that, and then also again the lies, because again it's a fundamentally flawed, fundamentally dishonest religion ideology to me, Islam. Having read the Quran and read the passages from the Hadith and all these other things, it's bad, man, and we have to understand it before we go after it. That's why I think it was a flawed way to send our soldiers in there without being intellectually armed with what we were facing. You have an idiot saying Islam means peace. Go fight. It's like, don't worry about that. Worry about the true believers, and are they devout Muslims? That's the question you have to ask. Are those killers actually Muslims according to Islam? Yes, they are. That's a problem.
They must go. Okay, I got you. And so you saw from the inside. No, these are some ideas. These ideas don't coincide. And then the thing that triggered it was 9/11. The thing just told you.
The thing that made me go revisit Islam, because I left Islam years before that, but it's just that's the thing that said, you know what, I gotta not just ignore it, not just put it behind me. I gotta take it on head on with my knowledge. And again, we were pretty, again, as I said, we were pretty passive. We went to went to mosque once, twice a year. We went to the Brooklyn Mosque for some reason. I don't know why. It was more favorable to us or something. I don't know. Once, twice a year. And when we went there, the imam is there. He's an Arab guy, right? And he's saying, Allah, we're doing all the things. We're following him because we don't know what to do. We're following every move he makes. And then some of my cousins are farting in back, and the imam's getting pissed. And I was pissed too, because I was like, I want to take this seriously. What the hell are you guys mocking it? I was, but now I say they give it the respect it deserved, those guys, looking back. But the point is, we go there, and then we have this one cousin of mine who looks at me and my brother. He goes, Hitler would have loved you guys. We're like, what the? Because there is a love affair from Muslims and Hitler to Muslims. Hitler thought Islam was a masculine religion, and Muslims, the Muslim Brotherhood, they loved Hitler. They used to write him basically love letters. Why? Because he hated Jews and he killed Jews. And the Muslims were
what they're all about.
Absolutely. That's the one thing that they will forgive Hitler's infidelity by not being Muslim, by the fact that he hates Jews almost as much as they do, if not worse. So he's also a revered person with average everyday Muslims in America. You know, they love this guy. I was like, Hitler? I said, I learned this guy's a monster in school. You know, what are you guys talking about? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's for sure, Dennis. Look, Hitler loved tall, blonde, blue-eyed men. It's like, what the hell is that? I mean, what the hell is that? It's like, why are you concerned about this master race? Who look at you?
Yeah.
You know, you look like
definitely.
shit.
Yeah, and Dennis had another question also. If he could please revisit the story of what happened in the Netherlands.
Oh yeah,
the threats.
Can we talk about this? It was what's his name? Vincent van Gogh's great grandson, Theo van Gogh, and it's pronounced Theo. It's spelled Theo, but Theo. He was a critic of Islam. He made a movie called Submission with Ayaan Hirsi Ali, an ex-Muslim. He's a leftist, but at least he was honest about the threat of Islam. You know, so he made a movie about the submission of women, the abuse of women, actually. The you know, how women submit to Islam and be abused in, I mean, endless ways. You know, even in my family, getting beaten left and right, women. That was a norm. Again, American Muslims who are passive, kicking the asses of their wives and, you know, so on, daughters. Anyway, so he was a harsh critic of Islam, and he used to ride his bike into the town, like almost like clockwork, right? So he was a little reckless, I gotta say. If you make a movie against Islam, you gotta take a little precautions. I take my precautions. I still go out there, you know, but if I do a speech, I make sure that there's some security there. If I go to events, some kind of security. I need that. You have to do that. This guy was reckless. He just went out there and rode a bike. A Muslim caught him, shot him in the back, started stabbing him. And as he's stabbing him, the victim saying, "Can we talk about this? Can we talk about this?" I mean, think about that. He's being murdered. As he's being murdered, he's saying, "Can we talk about this?" You are way past the point. If someone punches me, I'm not going to say, "Can we talk about it?" I punch him right back. It's twice as hard. That's what you do. This guy, again, a little reckless, a little stupid. I give him credit for taking it on. And then there was a movie. Actually, I was in 2 movies about free speech. Mike Cernovich made one called Silenced. And then another one was called, actually, "Can we talk about this?" Quoting the, you know,
that incident.
Yeah, which is horrific. Again, the guy was butchered. And as he was being butchered, "Can we talk about this?" That's insane. But that's the mentality of the left. That's the mentality of some people who want to, you know, they don't want to take this seriously. We have to, guys, because again, we don't want to live in a world in a nuclear age where Muslims, where these dictatorships get nukes, because they will use them eventually. They will. We, you know, we have to stop them. We have no choice. And again, it's not a point about going to some foreign land. It's defending ourselves is what it is. And again, you don't have to have years-long wars. Unleash our soldiers, pummel these fuckers to hell, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
you know.
Definitely. And Mikey gets
wars.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Mikey Getz says YouTube won't let me say what I wanted to do after 9/11. And it says it rhymes with puke.
Hey man, Mikey, that was a thought that I had as well. I think it was a legitimate response, believe it or not. Either Saudi Arabia, Mecca, and I mean that, or Iran, because those are the greatest state sponsors of terrorism. Actually, Iran technically is more of a state sponsor, whereas the Saudis have all their sheikhs and they do it under the cover, outside the government, even though the government knows that they're doing it. They're funding jihad. And we know what they do is they go across the world, these Saudis, right? They're rich beyond belief. Why? Because, you know, money does grow under sand. You know, I mean, money doesn't grow on trees, but it sure as hell grows under sand. They had nothing to do with it. The West went in there. They built all the machines to extract it and make use of it. And they just sit there and become billionaires for no reason. What do they do? With all their guilt, they pay off these jihadists to make them feel better, because they go across the world and do all these, in their mind, these terrible things of having sex with this, that, you know, drinking, doing everything that you can't do allegedly in Islam, go back to their homeland and pay off these jihadists to make themselves feel better about having sinned. And then, you know, there's also a thing within Islam as well. You can be as sinful as you want, but when you go jihad, you can cleanse it all, and a clean record when you go into paradise. So
by killing.
By killing, by murdering. I mean, it's unbelievable, man. And then paradise has also, you know, Muhammad tried to appeal to some homosexuals by having these boys as beautiful as pearls who serve you in paradise. Think about that.
Yeah.
So you got the 72 virgins, quote unquote, and then you have these boys also like, hey guys, if you're gay, you can get some too. You know, it's unbelievable.
And he also had Muhammad also had child wives, I think, right?
6 years
Like
old.
9 years. Yeah,
She was 6 actually when he married her, and she was
Yeah.
9 when he raped her. And Muslims to this day will pretend it's not true. It's part of Islamic history. That's what they tell us. So I take their word for it. Okay, and they're fine with that. And that's why in Iran you have 9-year-olds being married off, 9-year-olds to 50-year-old men. Sometimes Muhammad was in his 50s at that point. This is obscene stuff, man. But this is the norm in Islam. It is the norm. I got a chance to actually draw a Quran for a Danish publisher. I drew 12 double page spreads of scenes from the Quran, Muhammad, and so on. I even drew Allah in there. It was available a few years ago, and that was also another explosion.
That would be more offensive than Muhammad drawing.
I think so, because it's like he's the holiest of holiest, and I had a drawing of Muhammad, you know, looking down with Allah coming out of his head as if it's his imaginary friend. That was my idea, at least. So
that was similar to what Charlie Hebdo was doing. I think they had drawn also Allah. Yeah,
I don't think they drew Allah. As far as I know,
Muhammad.
I might be the only. Yeah, Muhammad. They drew. Yeah. As far as I might be the only one who drew Allah. I think.
Wow.
People tell me, you know, you're a pussy who draw Muhammad. Draw Allah. I said I have half a dozen times. You know, so I'm still called a pussy for not. You know, they say draw Moses. I've drawn Moses. I've drawn Jesus. I've never gotten any shit for that ever.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. I had a question, like in your fights and your struggles, because your struggles are not this fight, Pigman, the comics that you're doing, all this work that you're doing, it's not under the radar. It's out there. And have you gotten allies? Have people come to you said, hey, I want to join you in this? I think you're doing the right thing, or
not really.
What has been the response from your peers in that case?
You know what? It's funny you say that, Elliot, because the closest I've ever gotten to support is Comics Kid, is Ethan, is the Kings. These guys have embraced me. And I'm blown away by it. I mean, I don't know if they appreciate it. To them, it's just, okay, cool. I like your stuff, you know. And they know though, a part of them knows like they're taking on something that could be dangerous. And I respect the hell out of that, because Ethan's like, I don't give a shit. You know, I like your stuff. That's it. You know, and when he first had me on was last March, actually, 2024. He goes, your reputation precedes you. So people have known about me, but they pretend not to know a lot of people. Ethan doesn't pretend. He knows me. He had me on. Maybe a king, which is it's a great honor, man. I mean, it really is to be part of these guys and be able to even at that auction, the first auction where I sold some Muhammad cartoons, and people, even John was like, oh, you know, because it's still considered like lethal, and it's guys, I've been drawing Muhammad for 20 years. I'm still here. Think about that, please, because it's not a death sentence. It could be. Those guys wanted to kill us in Texas. I've gotten thousands of death threats, but if you're smart, if you can still continue it, is what I'm saying. So the industry, they pretend I don't exist, but they know me. A lot of the guys in the industry know me. They know me because of the Toth, you know, praise, of the other things like that. They know me because Tibble Forum, because of the Eisner nominations. They know me, but they pretend they don't know me. And so Comics Cage, the first time I've ever felt at home with any kind of group or organization in terms of, outside of myself, because I've been a loner. I've always written drawn my own comics, published them myself. And now slowly but surely it seems like there's an opening here. There's more interest, and I appreciate the hell out of it. Comics Cage. Everyone in the chat, everyone watching, I just, it's something else to me. It really is. It's a strange thing. I'm still getting used to it, but I love it. I love being part of a
CG,
decent, good people doing great work on top of that, and that's what you want. You know, it's an honor to be side to side with guys who are doing great work, great individualistic work. Again, none of us draw alike. None of us do our own thing. It's all different, and I love that variety. Absolutely do.
No, that's surprising. That, I mean, all the time that you've been doing your art, you know, putting out these books, that you haven't had like even one or two people come towards you like, hey, let's do this together, or maybe I can do nothing.
Outside of that, again, David Horowitz from the Freedom Center for Front Page Magazine. Again, I'm not going to overlook that. I did political cartoons for 14 years, thousands of them. For Daniel Greenfield, his articles, he's fantastic. It was great to work with him. So things like that. But in the comic book industry, absolutely not.
Nothing.
Persona non grata. And again, I was nominated. I'll never be nominated ever again for an Eisner. Almost guaranteed 100%.
Yeah.
But sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
But
That's crazy.
I even had a chance to talk to Frank Miller, 2014, after he did Holy Terror, which I wanted to be. I wanted to love it. I wanted it to be great. It wasn't. It was a half-assed effort. I love the fact that he took on jihad to some extent, but when he was asked about it, he goes, "I don't know squat about Islam." Why not, Frank? Why not? Why didn't you study Islam? Why didn't you study jihad? Why don't you make a better comic? I studied my ass off. I said my life depended on it. Why? Because it sure as hell might. You know, to the point where I want to get it right at least. If I'm going to be taken out, at least it was with the truth and not some bullshit that I was just, pulling out of my ass. I want the truth out there, told as well as I can tell it. And again, and as in an entertaining a way as I can tell it. Because there's one thing, you want to tell the truth, but you don't want to be didactic. You want to smash people over the head with ideology. You want to make an entertaining story. Tell the truth and make it entertaining as hell. So that's what I'm doing with my PIGMAN comic.
Nice. Wow. And from the friendly Muslim people that you mentioned you had some cousins, and then so they haven't given you any critique or pushback about the content that you put, like in the sense that that you're being truthful about what is represented from the Muslim faith, because you're saying you're studying it, you're using it, you make sure it's accurate. Has anybody challenged that?
No, they haven't. And why? Because they can't. Why? Because I know more about the religion than they do about their own religion, which is sad. It's a sad commentary, but it's true.
Yeah.
I studied Islam. They didn't. I've read the Quran twice at least, and also I always reference it when I want to get things right. They haven't. So what does that say? So they can't come to me. Even if they read it, they were like, "Oh shit, you're right." I mean, you're not,
And that kind of attitude is not just for what you were telling me about you and your Muslims, and that this also applies to any religion. There's many people that are beat their chest Christians, but they don't know exactly what's underneath. They just know some superficial quotes, and then just to get by, just to escape that one question, and then that's it. So
it's not good.
That goes for everybody.
Let's be honest. I mean, read your holy book, understand it, understand what you're actually promoting. Also, it's like so many Muslims have never read the Quran. Once they read it, I think some of them actually just flat out leave. They say, "What the hell? I didn't know that I was backing this up." And some of them just do leave. That's one of the greatest things I think that people can do with Muslims: read the Quran and then get the hell out, which a lot of them do. And it's true. It's absolutely true. A number of cases like that, and they talk about it. There were groups, ex-Muslims united, on all online. A lot of people out there. So the more they understand the religion, the more they get the hell out, which is so good. And then of course the true believers, they love it. They love kill the infidels where I find them. Awesome, good. So they want to unload their rage on the world.
Nice. And then Mikey says here. Mikey says, "I'm not glad y'all got canceled, but it's cool to be able to chat with you guys and get these interviews. Never happens in the mainstream unless at a con." Yeah, it's this. Yeah, that's also another thing though. Especially, I was super excited that you'd come on here because and that you're able to go to these different channels and then talk and converse, because I've heard you mention though that normally you don't have a platform to speak out and express your ideas, and so
now I do.
Getting that chance, it's great, and then that you're able to do that, and then people can see and hear you, directly, and that's great, and that's awesome. I'm glad that you're able to.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate I appreciate you having me on, because again, I mean, it's like I don't think it's going to rub off. I've been here now for about a year now. Okay, I've been in the background. I've been in lurking, for Comics Day for years. I used to comment on your boy Zach stuff in 2017 and Ethan stuff. I mean, I always was, but again, I had in my head, I'm a loner. I'm out in the wilderness. That's my thing. I don't want to. Also, I never wanted to impose my kind of stuff on people. I don't want to. It's like Ethan does that also. He goes, he doesn't want to. If he sees like Walt Thompson, he doesn't go up to say hi to him because he's toxic, right? Walt Thompson doesn't give a shit. He comes, takes pictures with Ethan because he's a good guy. That's why. So, but now it's like, what? I'm becoming a little more acceptable, which I really appreciate. Because again, I was on the outskirts. I was seen as some fucking freak who just gets people killed, and they actually accused me of getting people killed. It's like, I get people killed by Draw Muhammad? How's it possible? How? I said they're killing people who draw Muhammad. That's why I draw Muhammad. But yeah, so it's a different thing for me, and I'm slowly appreciating it more and more, because it's like I do want to get out there. I love going to conventions years ago.
Yeah.
The small press conventions in New York, MoCA, the SPX in Maryland, the San Diego Comic-Con. I went there year after year. Brought my books, Table for One. Everything is selling them. I love the whole thing. You can't do it anymore, but I loved it. I love talking to potential customers, pitching them my book and getting them to buy it. And it was 2005 when I made my first public, announcement of Pigman. I was doing it for years before that, but I said, okay, I have it. When will comics take on jihad? When Pigman flies, like when pigs fly. And there was a drawing of Pigman. People were pretty friendly, open to it, because it was happened to be that at that convention that huge attack in London happened in 2005, where 50 people got murdered on that bus, and so that's what happened there. And people were a little more say, okay, that looks cool. And just the idea of someone taking on jihad. And then, Miller did his thing. And again, I was able to sit with Miller for 5-10 minutes. He wasn't quite there. He was going through chemo, I believe. He was almost drank himself to death. He had a real problem there. And but he wasn't communicative. I was talking about what he did. I was talking about what I did. His girlfriend loved Pigman, and she told him about it, but he was out of it, just out of it. I didn't really talk to him. I was there talking to him, but he wasn't quite there. So even his friends, even Bill Stankovich, John Ray Jr., when Stankovich saw him, he was in shock. He almost cried, because Miller at that point, 2014, was bald, no facial hair, no eyebrows, nothing. He was incredibly skinny, and he looked like he was death. And people thought that he'll be dead. 11 years later, he's still here, but he's not producing. I don't get it. And it's like, come on, my man, just tell some stories, man. That's what you're great at. Please, again, if I ever had a chance to talk to him, just I don't know if that would work, but please, Frank, get back. Do what you do best, writing comics. That's what he does best.
Hey, would you? For you said you haven't been able to work for DC or Marvel.
No.
If you were ever offered anything at this point, would you take that?
Absolutely. I mean, that was my dream. Before 9/11, to go. Mainstream superheroes. I loved Daredevil, Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, X-Men, Batman, Superman. I love these characters. And then
if they were to make you, like, say you draw like Spider-Man, but he's got a kiss, I don't know, Wolverine or something.
I just would, because that's not who he is.
Yeah.
It's like, people will do that. Of course they'll do that. They don't give a shit, who these characters are. But if I were to do it, I do want to do Spider-Man. I absolutely do.
Wants to do Spider-Man.
Love Spider-Man. But I would do it. I would actually try to, in my mind, Ditko to me was the finest in terms of the anatomy and the weirdness and the poses.
The langy.
I mean, everything about it was so good. And and then Romita Sr. just perfected the costume design. He made it more symmetrical. He made it a little more like cylinders, like they wrapped around his body. The perfect,
more commercial.
I mean, completely. But if you saw his mask, he made the nose line, the mouth line, so it gives it a human appearance. If you look at the mask, the way Romita did it. So what I would do in my mind, as if Ditko's drawing it, and as if Romita Sr. is inking it. That's my ideal. That's my ideal version of Spider-Man, because it has the quirkiness and it has the perfect line work. And then also make him a young guy, because that's Peter Parker. He's a young guy. He makes mistakes, but he's a good kid overall, And he's a little afraid of these guys, so that's why he roasts them the way he does, and so on. But he's such a fun character. Those first 38 issues, to me, the finest, and those two those two annuals that Ditko did, and he wrote the bulk of those, by the way. Then we talk about that. He plotted them and drew them. Stan Lee added the dialogue for, I guess, 28 of those issues, because I think from issue 10, he was starting to be officially recognized as the plotter, meaning the storyteller.
Yeah.
Stan Lee added the dialogue. So that's his character more than Stan Lee's. Also, in a sense, where Stan Lee threw out the name Spider-Man and gave it to Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby came back with something like a Captain
America-esque, yeah.
It wasn't right. And then he gives it to Ditko. Ditko comes back with this smaller guy, lean, with web shooters, a complete mask over his face, the cool eyes, the webs. Everything was there from Ditko. So if you want to talk about in terms of creativity, he was far more, I think, of the creator of Spider-Man than Lee was, even though Lee initiated the idea. So that's the whole thing. I would love to do that. And if anything right now, custom made for me would be The Question, which DC owns right now, which is a Steve Ditko objectivist.
His last project, I think it was, right?
Was for
the question, the one of his last ones.
yeah, Mr. A. That was his. That was the main
Yeah.
thing. Self-published
Yeah,
because
Mr. A.
he started off with Charlton. It was the question, which is an objective super, like superhero. A is A, right and wrong, black and white, very, very pure, and also lethal to the point where he allows bad guys to die. He doesn't go save them, doesn't go out of his way to save them. And that's what Mr. A did as well. So I would be comfortable doing that character. And it's cool as hell. Just that flat mask with no face, with a hat and the trench coat. And also the idea. It's a great design, man. Great design. Ditko is all time great. Very, very good. And I got a chance to correspond with him actually over the years.
Nice.
And he was never willing to say anything. He liked my work, but he's never willing to say it publicly. Never willing to. He never did it for anyone. But it was great to go back and forth with him. Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
I made it one of my goals in life to read all the issues of Amazing Spider-Man, and I'm up to issue 62.
Oh,
and I'm right in the midst of the whole Romita stuff. I was blown away with Romita by this one comic that was completely done in black and white. I think it's a Spectacular Spider-Man.
Spectacular Spider-Man #1.
Yeah.
Black and white.
When the cover he's on the building.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So I thoroughly enjoyed Ditko on it because he did really good work. But I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that transition from Ditko to Romita, I immediately fell in love with what Romita did because his face work, his line work, the weights.
Look, the most handsome man, the most beautiful women, the most heroic figures, and the perfect design for each. I mean, his Spider-Man is again, it's iconic to the point of he took that Ditko brilliant design and perfected it. And again,
I think so. Also,
I got a video on my channel if anyone's watching, Elliot. It's about the Romitas and what they brought to a Spider-Man, and as I'm telling you, I'm showing it because I'm drawing what he did and how he did it. He made like a cylindrical thing with the arms and legs. It looked like cylinders. It looked so damn good, and it's not technically correct, but it's artistically correct. It's aesthetically correct, and you'll see what I mean if you watch the video. Check it out. It's about a half hour. I go through this Roger Stern, John Romita Jr. Omnibus that they drew. And John Romita Jr. took his follow design and stylized it a little more, made Spider-Man his feet a little bigger, his musculature a little more like leaner, like Bruce Lee almost, just but a little more, the shoulders a little wider. Anyway, it's great stuff. But check out the video because he took it next level. Romita, he just took it next level. Whatever Ditko had there, he just took it, made Peter into this handsome movie star looking guy when he was never that way. Ever. He made Gwen into this gorgeous woman, whereas Ditko's women were okay, big eyes, looked a little weird. But the Ditko, again, to me, the perfect Spider-Man is penciled by Ditko, inked by Romita. Perfect, and that's what I would have in mind to try to capture that ideal,
that essence.
But it will never happen. But I can at least make a page or two for myself. Just to show what that might look like. Yeah.
And you said check out the video. You're not currently on YouTube, I think, right? I think you're posting on X.
I am on YouTube and X. I have a channel. It's a small channel. But I'm now monetized. I do regular videos of reviews. I just finished my review of Daredevil: The Man Without Fear with Frank Miller, John Romita Jr. I did Batman Year One. I did Daredevil Born Again, and a number of these things. So I'm always doing live streams. I'm always doing stuff. So I'm enjoying it. I'm starting to get the hang of it also. I didn't do that prior to being the king. I just didn't. I thought, okay, I think it's time to maybe make this part of the deal here in terms of promoting my work, getting it out there, and also showing my love for comics. I love to break down these comics and why I think they're great, and why these artists, why they maybe chose this or that, and so on. I love it. I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Yeah, it's great to have a presence on YouTube, though, because I mean, whether these things work out or not, like if you to be on here talking about what you like and then seeing the comics, it's always good to have that voice out there. This is great.
It's important.
Great, awesome. And I wanted one last thing that I wanted to touch on is this idea of freedom of speech, because I have a concept of it, and I would like to explain what I think it is, and then if you could give me like your rebuttal to that, or your
Sure.
idea to that? Like, I see, because the argument is out there all the time on Twitter, on the internet. Know that we have to fight for freedom of speech, and this, and I see a lot of people that, for the sake of freedom of speech, they make extreme comments, and then people like get all crazy, like, hey, why'd you say that? Why'd you say that? No, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. And I wanted to know, like, how would you define it? Like, how would you define what proper freedom of speech is? Is it to say everything is, like, say anything is okay?
Anything goes.
Because
and it's true.
my opinion, or the way that I see it, is that one thing that I believe, that people overlook, is this idea of consequence. Like, you can say anything you like, but there could be consequences to what you say. And so, like, for example, like the N-word. Like if you're walking down the street, you say it. The consequence would be that you get punched in the face or something, or someone will yell at you or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have this thing, like, where it's okay as long as you don't interfere in other person's rights or another person's.
I think anything goes.
How would you define it?
I think we have to defend those that we think are repugnant. Also, people who say the horrific things. I think we should defend those as well. And then I think society and people themselves will shun those people naturally. They're like, I don't want nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? That's their right to be disassociated with them, but they have the right to say it. Even things that. They say things like "fuck America." It's like, all right, I don't want to hear that. I mean, I love this country, but they have the right to say that, and so on. So I think the consequence, the consequences are that you might be shunned by people that maybe liked you, now don't like you anymore. That's the answer. But you should have the freedom to say anything you want.
Yeah.
And then if someone punches you, then it's at that point, though, takes freedom of speech to violence. That's a whole different thing right there. Even if you call someone nigger, a black guy is walking this night, he punches you, he has no right to do that, and he used that word probably every day. I mean, we know that word is used across the board. It's on Apple Music. You got songs in there, everything. It's not forbidden. Netflix, Disney Plus, when they put the Luke Cage in there, throwing that word around like crazy. So don't tell me.
In Django.
I mean, forget about it. And then every Quentin Tarantino movie almost. And so don't tell me it's a forbidden word and it's used in a mainstream. So it's like, that's bullshit. You're trying to get us not to say it. Now, I don't necessarily use that word. I just want to use it because I don't want to say the N word, as I just did. But I think it's important to be able to say anything you want. And then again, you could get fired for it, because those who employ you say, I don't want to be associated with that. They have the right to do that. YouTube has a right to knock me off and say, I don't want you, Jar Muhammad, on these things. I don't like it. I think that if they don't, also one thing, when these platforms have canceled me, and I've lost 20,000 people across, the social media platforms. I've lost 20,000 people. But when they say the reason why we did it is because you're violent and you're this and that, that's a lie. So I resent that. They can just tell me, I don't like your ideas, you're out. And they have the right to do that. But don't call me violent. Don't call me something that I'm not. Don't call me a racist. I'm not. At the same time, so if I'm not being clear, I think anything should go. But I also think that people have a right to disassociate from you. They have a right to say, I don't. You know what? I'm not down with that. I don't want anything to do with that. So I don't want to be with you here. That's it. But I think people do have the right to say anything they want, and the consequences be what they may. That's it.
Yeah.
Nice. There's a forbidden thing. You can't draw Muhammad. Of course I can. I'm a free man. Muslims don't want to draw him. You don't have to draw him. Don't continue not drawing him. I will, especially if you threaten me. So anything goes. But at the same time, it's like if someone says something, I don't know. If someone says, okay, sorry, one thing. If someone says, I want to rape you, I want to kill you, that's not free speech. It's something to violence. They're talking about threats at that point. That's out of the bounds of free speech. When you're threatening.
How would you determine that that's out of the bounds of free speech?
Because if they say, I wish you die, that's a different story. They're wishing the death on you. If they say, I'm going to come and cut your head off and rape you, which I've gotten, that's at that point, they cross the line of free speech into action. They're talking about actual lethal action against you. So that's
if they say that but don't act on it.
Well, it's still a threat. It's still recognized as a threat by the law. Right. If I will murder you, that's a threat.
Like an actionable threat, like Riley, actionable threats.
I
This
mean,
is an actionable threat. Yeah.
well, when he says that, and also Riley, he came after me about Israel.
Oh yeah, I saw
and
that. Yeah. I think there was a
whatever.
miscommunication in that.
I mean, he was, and he kept going. And they called me a baby killer. Called him a baby killer. I said, all right, you're right.
No,
I mean, I just can't. I can't abide by that. And again, he has the right to say that. I don't have to tolerate that. I can block, I can mute, whatever. But yeah, calling me a baby killer, that's not a threat per se. But why the hell call me a baby killer? What have I done? Because I support, and also those that he is supporting on the other side of Israel, targeted.
They do the same, yeah.
And children. Israel sometimes accidentally kills children, babies, when the terrorists hide behind them with their retribution. So it's a big difference there, but he can't tell. So anyway, the point is that when someone threatens me and my family and this and that's a whole different story, because that's when they cross the line into, that's not free speech anymore. That's incitement to violence, and that's saying that they, even if they don't, but one thing, Muslims, more of them act on it than don't. Meaning, if there's any group on earth that's going to probably act on death threats, it is Muslims.
Yeah, and they have their history record that proves that they do that.
They've threatened Salman Rushdie for years, and they finally almost got him. They popped his eye out. They stabbed him almost killed him. He survived, but they've been threatening for decades now, and they almost did it, and they're crazy about it because they're like, we had our clutches on him, Absolutely, Mikey. So yeah, I think we should be able to say anything we want, pay the consequences, whatever they may be. Meaning, we might lose opportunities, we may lose people that liked us before. We said that, and so on. But death threats, different story, and that's why even some libertarians try to tell me, no. Death threats are free speech. I said it's not. It crosses the line. That's when action is being taken to snuff out someone's life. You can't do that by law. You can't. That's why I've dealt with the FBI. That's why they contact me when the death threats really spike. They come to me and say, okay, we're going to have to take some extra precautions now, because they know that that's against law. You can't do that. It doesn't matter if they won't act on it. Someone might. Someone will. Eventually. Yeah. So anything goes. Free speech, except death threats. That's not free speech. And it's not me being picky about it. It's a fact that you can call me any name in a book, and I've been called every name in a book. I mean, every name in a book. I've been called a terrorist. I mean, you look at terrorists. I'm like, I'm a terrorist. How? Do my cartoons hurt you that badly?
You're a terrorist of words.
they actually do. Yeah, they call me terrorist. They say you're the terrorist. Right. Okay. So yeah, death threats to me, that's out of the bounds of free speech. It's not, because that's when it's incitement to violence. It means someone is at least putting into action, into the world, something that they might do, and that's lethal. You can't do it.
Interesting. Excellent. Thank you for that. Thank you for that explanation.
Maybe not as clear, but it's something that.
No, yeah,
I have thought about it.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, because that argument's forever in the internet. This is great to hear your take on that. And and another thing, there's this whole situation with Charlie Hebdo, that they were doing these comments, they were putting out drawing Muhammad all this time and doing this. They painted a target on their back per se. Do you feel that you've done that for yourself? Do you feel that you think you're in the eye of the Muslim world and this is a public enemy for us? Do you feel that that's has anyone from any officials from the Muslim world?
Well, I was blocked by Pakistan, by Turkey. I'm blocked on certain platforms. The entire country blocks me, which is hilarious to me. That's like
crazy.
What the? So their people cannot even see my stuff. You know what I mean? They're protecting themselves from that. So that's an extreme version. And also there was one guy, a number of these, whatever you call them, Muslim clerics and stuff, threatened us after the Charlie Hebdo. Sorry, after I won the contest. Yeah. So they got their sights on me. They definitely do. I've been able to avoid them for now. I live my life more or less as I have for the last 10 years. I take some precautions. I clearly do. I have to. I live with my head on a swivel in a lot of ways, looking around here and there. But I live my life. So yeah, it is something that I live with. And but that's the nature of it. I knew going in, because I knew after 2005 when the Danish Mama cartoons, I knew that if I'm going to enter this, they're probably going to come after me. And they have, But what are you going to do? It's like, I want to live a free man. To me, it's the most important thing. To me, it really is. That's the ultimate freedom.
Yeah, freedom. Yeah,
freedom of our mind and what
we live and die for that. Yeah,
out of our mouth. It's deadly important, and that's why it's a First Amendment. It's not by accident. It's a First Amendment. You know, we are the only country on earth in history who have ever recognized that, who has enshrined it in our laws with the power of law behind it. Everyone else can assume they have it and all that, but it's tough, man. If you don't have the law to back you, like in England right now, people are getting arrested, being put in prison for years for their social media posts. That's totalitarianism right there. That's a totalitarian state. Nothing less than that. You know, we think they're a civilized country. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're racking them up to, you know, I don't know how many now they've done, but 30, 40, 50, they say like sometimes a week.
A lot. Yeah, a lot.
And also that piece of shit commissioner from the UK said, hey, Americans, we'll extradite you if you basically get out of line. So I drew him as Muhammad and Hitler and tagged him on that. It's just, that's insane to me. It's like, come get me. Extradite an American, bring him into your hellhole to make me pay.
You can't do that. No.
That's insane.
And when you take precautions, like does it mean like I want to like just go to the store, get some milk? I have to like you have to do stuff.
Well, you know, I mean, when it comes to certain events, it's like you know, people invite me to
public events.
Okay,
public
have
events.
these. Otherwise, it's you know, and again, precautions a little semi disguised for a little while. You know, I don't like that shit, but at a certain time when the heat was really on, when the FBI told me, look, man, the chatter is going wild. You know, we have to. So I said, okay, so I got to do certain things. They recommend certain things, and whatnot, and yeah, so it's something that I live with, but something that I don't regret. To me, free speech is it. It is, and it's the ultimate freedom. Again, it's the freedom of our minds, the freedom of our mouths to say whatever we want. That is the ultimate, and without that, look at the hellholes that don't have it. You know, we know exactly what they are. I don't want to live like that. Never do.
Excellent, nice. Yeah, so Mike again says CG is free speech, creator freedom. Yeah, that's 100%. We're able to do a lot of crazy things. Just anything that comes to your mind, just draw it, and then people, if people like it, they'll support you.
That's it.
Not,
that's what we do, and it's, you know, it's awesome. Oh man, Matt Barr.
Yeah.
Jeez.
No, like
Matt Barr has the right to say anything he wants. I just don't want to listen to it because some of it is outrageous, and the lies he tells are outrageous. And he goes, "What lie?" And, you know, I just had to. I think I had to block him eventually because he was coming after just insane stuff, and also
he's got
the things he says about Ethan's wife, and that is
that was horrible.
The line. And again, that's free speech. Yes, doesn't mean you have.
But there's consequence.
Yes, it's like fuck you, man. You're out. You are out.
Yeah, no, I was before all this whole downfall. I was a big supporter of Matt because he would call out JDA. He would call out anything that came out. No, that was out of the left field.
Some stuff he draws is good. Some stuff he draws is good. You know.
Yeah, and then but then I, like these last few months, like this whole thing with getting Riley, Vito, and these people on EVS's channel. And how he reacted to that, and I was like, man, I can't believe, he snapped. He went crazy, and it's sad to see that, but I mean, it's undefendable now, because that comment about his wife, man, oh man, so that for example, and then he justifies it, saying, you said something about my wife, I'm free to say anything about your wife.
And I don't think Ethan did say anything about his wife. I don't think so. I think we try to rationalize it, but that's something that. It's dear and you know, to your heart. You want to just hit him hard emotionally. It's like, okay, you know, you were able to say it. I don't got to listen to you anymore at that point. And again, of course, he has the right to say it. Say whatever you want. Say the nastiest thing you want, and I can mute and block and just say, ignore you guys. And then people say, "Oh, I thought you believed in free speech, bitch. You can say anything you want next."
I don't have to listen to it.
I mean, that's it. You know, so it's like you can tell anyone these things about me. I don't want to listen to it. It's nasty stuff.
Quantum Age says, I don't use the N-word every day. This is a result of the media pushing it. It does not belong to black people. That's a fallacy created by social engineering.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's just bullshit. And you know, racist black people want to rule that over us also. Like, you better watch it. And they say it to each other. It's like, give me a break. It's not a forbidden word. It's just bullshit. It's not true at all. We should be able to say that if you want to. And you also in movies, you know, Quentin Tarantino, he doesn't budge
all the time.
This guy say it like crazy, and that's fine. And it was that way. It was a norm actually for a while. I love that he normalized it even more. And then of course it's allegedly this forbidden word, and it's not forbidden. It's not forbidden. You can say it. I can say it. Again, mainstream Disney Netflix, Apple Music, all
It's
over the
everywhere.
place. Don't tell us it's forbidden when it's on your platforms. That's a lie.
Awesome. And yeah, I think that will wrap it up for me because
I appreciate it,
I
man.
have to
Thanks
get
a lot.
going. I normally go for an hour. We've been going for way longer than that.
I
And
appreciate it, man.
yeah, this
Great
has been a great
conversation.
conversation. I really appreciate you taking your time out to come out here and hang out. And yeah, so people in the chat, Bosch Fawstin was his comic is right here to my right. Is Pigman. It's on FundMyComic. How long is this going to go for? Is it like a
6 issues.
storefront?
It'll be 6 issues. I don't know. So sorry. This campaign. I believe the end of June. I'm gonna close it out, if not early July. At the end of June,
July.
it's my first campaign. I want to give it a little more breathing space. I want to keep hitting out there. I've been trying to get some advertising. Breitbart won't return my emails. I'm trying to get some advertising. I advertised on X. It worked out well the first few times to promote posts, and now it's like it's not that much. So I'm looking for advertising. I want to push it. I want to get on more channels. I want to do this. I want to just punch it up a little more. Again, it's my first campaign. I want to do as well as I can to dive into issue 2. That's what I want, because I want to launch issue 2 by the end of this year as well, and so on and so on. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I'm looking forward to the Ominus, right? Is that what's called?
Yeah.
Looks great, man.
Yeah.
It looks great. And
Thank you.
And we saw that kick-ass thing you did of the Teenage Ninja Mutant.
Yeah, that's when we started conversing on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
that was.
you. Thank you very much.
And you deserved every penny of that.
Yeah, thank you.
It was incredible. Great job, man.
Yeah, it's been in my case, because just to share a little bit about me. In my case, I've been in CG since the pandemic, since 2020, 2021. We were all locked in, and so I checked in on the social media, and then I came across CG, and I immediately loved it, because when I came back to comics, I came back in not too like 2018, 19. I saw a bunch of the things that were being put out, and I was like, this is not how I left it. I left the last time I had read comics before then was 2000. The last issue that I read was Civil War. The Civil War was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah.
But then I grew up on the 90s stuff. So that's where I last left it. And then when I came back, it was completely different. And I was like, man, this is crazy. And so I was like, when I'm going to get back into art, I'm just going to lay low, just do my thing. And because I was really under the impression that there's nobody out there who still had the same appreciation for the art that I did, because I like that old 90s stuff. And so I came across CG, and I was like, yes, thank you. We were still out here. Sorry. And yeah, so my thing has been just getting better with my art, because I haven't drawn in a long time, so I'm trying to get better. And I've been watching a lot of videos, getting feedback. I post my stuff and try to get critique. And I document my progress on the channel. So if you look further back, you can see like some of the stuff that I put out earlier, and then some of the progress I've made. And in CG, many people in there have seen me, get from a crappy artist to a not so crappy artist now. And so I think I'm at the point where I could put out a competent book. So I decided to take that leap and then put my passion project out there.
Legitimately great. And do you do the coloring also? Do you do everything?
No. I do the writing. I do the line art. I do the inks, the pencils. But then after that, I leave it to more capable hands. I tried to.
How about lettering? Do you do that, or someone else?
No. I do someone else does the lettering.
Okay.
So, Paul Bird is a letterer.
But the bulk of it is yours, as in the writing and the drawing, awesome, and the inking.
Yeah, and the inking also, yes, and so yeah, so I hire a colorist, I hire a letterer, and now I'm getting an editor also, just to double check any of my mistakes.
Excellent.
And so yeah, so I'm putting out this is my first campaign.
Nice.
And yeah, so I mean, with the thing that happened with
launch it, and where are you going to launch it from?
I'm going to launch it on FundMyComic, and I have a tentative date, which is going to be, I think, at the beginning of July. I think it may be a week before July 4th, which I think is June 20 something, something like that.
That's a good time.
Yeah, so I think that's when I'm going to launch it. I haven't defined it yet, because I'm still in negotiations with the great negotiator, my wife.
That's right.
So I'm trying to organize everything, but yeah, that's what I have planned. And yeah, so yeah, that whole thing with the art
out there, man. Just send it out there and ask these guys to maybe help launch also. They have some bigger channels, John or Shane or Ethan, or we know you're good. So
Yeah.
that's a big start right there. So I think if you ask them, hopefully they'll take you up on it.
Yeah. I'll reach out and see what happens. Yeah, if they
And
do,
my
great. If
channel's
they
small.
don't,
Yeah,
yeah.
my channel's small. I would offer my channel, it's just not big enough. I think Ethan and John and Shane got big enough channels, a big
Yeah.
enough pull where they can get you at least a nice launch day. Because that's what you
Yes.
want. You want a strong launch day.
Yeah, definitely. And so yeah, we'll see what happens. And yeah, the whole auction thing, I think, was just a stroke of just taking an advantage of the opportunity. Because
Yeah.
the first one that EVS did, he just said no, all CG artists are available to come on, and I contacted
No,
him, and he
no.
let me on, and
So,
then I
so he
showed
didn't
it,
know you.
and
You just came on with the.
then
That's awesome.
no, I was always in CG, but
Right.
we've never actually talked and spoke before, because he's
Very,
up
very cool.
there and I'm down here, so
Yeah.
I never had a chance to speak with him. But he threw that out there that one time last year,
That's
and
awesome. I remember
yeah,
when
because
you,
and
when
he's
you when you came on. I think it was the first auction I was on as well. It
yeah,
was last year. Yeah.
and yeah, and I get nervous every time I'm on. Like, I just get completely
I
nervous every
can't
time I'm
tell.
on.
I
because
can't tell really.
because
No, you seem pretty.
all the guys up there, yeah.
And the art, your art, it does speak for itself. So it's solid. So it doesn't matter even
Yeah,
if you're
thank you.
nervous. The art's going to say, okay, this guy belongs here. It's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, man. So yeah, just a testament to EVS, because people keep bashing him, but he gives everybody
I
opportunities.
mean,
So
come
some
on, man.
people take it, some people
This
don't.
guy. I mean, look, man. Honestly, I couldn't have launched, I think, Pigman that first day without his help.
Yeah.
I just couldn't have. I know that. I'm self-conscious of that. I'm like, okay, I need your help, and hopefully to close it out with John, I'm gonna ask him at some point if he can. Great, because I want
That'd
to.
be awesome.
I want to go strong into issue 2 is what I want. And again,
Sweet.
he doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to have these auctions.
No.
Hours upon hours upon hours where we
It's
can
his
sell.
time. Yeah, it's his time.
It's his precious time, man. Also on your show, that's his platform. He's earned it. If he has it on, we're lucky to be there, and I'm glad to be there. So it's something else. And again, the ingratitude is flat out shocking.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like you
It's
guys
crazy.
made $100,000 off of being promoted by him, and now he's a piece of shit. Based
Yeah.
on what?
Yeah.
Because he roasted you a little. Roast him back. Hit him back.
Yeah.
If you're that butthurt, at least don't just
Yeah,
resent it.
definitely.
Keep it in. But yeah,
Definitely.
so it's a great time to be part of this. Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate it. And thanks also, Elliot, for sharing it before.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, guys,
no
check
problem.
it out. It's a FundMyComic. I've had 0 problems with FundMyComic. It looks great. The platform's good. I mean, people say some things not as good as maybe the other ones. I don't know. It's my first one, as far as I know. It's worked out well for me and well on the backers. So check it out, guys. And also, Shanth and Jetty made a new trailer for it. Bosch, will you be adding? Yeah, I will. I definitely will. PIGMAN. I definitely will. Absolutely.
Sweet.
I can add a couple of things I got in mind. And it might be something. There's a little short story that I have in mind, like a mini comic type thing. That's a different aspect of the jihad, which I'm going back and forth on. So yeah.
Sweet. And then Mikey Getz says, "We back the books we like, Bosch. Don't worry about the platforms. We're all CG." Yeah. All right.
Appreciate it, Mikey. Thank you, man.
And
people do prefer certain platforms, but hey, this is the one that I believe was right up my alley. I think they wouldn't take me out there, because I think if I was on the other ones, they probably would have not had me on. I'm assuming, because of the nature of it.
Yeah, and then Dennis says, "Check the question up." My question, we spoke about. I'm sorry, this one. Dennis says, "Bosch, could you please make a tier with PIGMAN #1 war paint cover plus table for one shipping rate would do marvels for international buyers like Elliot and myself."
You mean combine those, Dennis?
Yeah, because usually what happens, and one of the things that I'm also talking about, or I want to talk about with FundMyComic, is that unlike Indiegogo, you can do a secret link, or you can or you can back multiple tiers,
right.
It won't affect the shipping. But with FundMyComic, you have to give the backers a code or something like that if they were to get 2 different tiers. And so I'm assuming that's what he's
okay.
So the way we have to do it is that we have to make a tier specifically with the things that we want to offer. I think that's what he's referring to.
Dennis, you know what? Why don't you contact me, Dennis? Message me, because you're the one. I'm not sure if I'll do that, but message me, and we can work something out. If you want to do that,
yeah,
we could definitely do that.
Yeah.
So let me know, Dennis. And if anyone else asks about it, because I did change something about the Canadian shipping. I did make it $10 cheaper than the worldwide one because it's just
Okay.
a little. International shipping these days is outrageous. Outrageous. I mean, for you guys, for us, but Canada is a little cheaper because it's a little closer. So I did make. I have 3 different tiers in terms of the shipping: America, Canada, and then worldwide. But Dennis, let me know. Message me, and maybe I will do that. But maybe I can just work out something with you individually. But we'll see. But thanks for the interest, Dennis. Appreciate it, man.
Sweet. And then this one comment that I wanted to talk on with Mikey Guest says, "Thanks for this, Elliot. I subbed. I didn't know you had a channel." Yeah, this is a unique situation. I interview a bunch of creators, but in your case, Bosch, this is for me personally, this is really interesting because you're taking a political stance, you're taking a religious stance, and I echo what John Malin said. Know that your book is one of the most important ones in CG because there's a lot more seriousness attached to it than your normal superhero flick or superhero comic.
That means a lot.
And so this I mean, I wanted to make sure that I asked the questions that I had because I wanted to give the people a chance to learn about that stuff about you. And so yeah, so Mikey Guess, I do live streams like this every week. Next week, Tuesday, I'll have another guest, but I have no idea that I'll be able to get into it like with these philosophical, religious concepts as we did here.
Right.
And I'm excited about that because I could go on for hours, but my time is
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me. Thank you very much. Thanks, Comicsgate. Thanks, chat. You guys have been great. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much, Bosch, one more time. And so you guys can catch or Bosch, just tell us where we can find you. Like how can we
BoschFawstin.com. I got a blog, I got a store from other stuff. I got a lot of books in there, prints, X, the Bosch Fawstin at X, because I was banned a few years ago. Came back when Elon came back, and they let me go on. So that's awesome. And YouTube, Bosch Fawstin. That's my channel. Facebook, I can't get back in. I have 12,000, I guess, followers, and I can't promote my series to them because I'm locked out. I can't get back in. That sucks. But yeah, so X, YouTube, and BoschFawstin.com. I appreciate it, Elliot. Best to you.
Thank you.
Your upcoming launch looks great.
Thank you.
Good luck with that, man.
Thank you. It means a lot. And so that's it. That'll be it for us. Thank you very much again, Bosch. Thank you to everybody in the chat for participating, for people hitting the replay. Please don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe, and also sign up for Ominus. The link is pinned in the chat, and I'm going to launch at the end of June, towards the end of June. So please sign up so you won't miss out on some great deals. And I'll see you guys next week. Next week, Tuesday, I'm going to have Dark Side Marinus, the creator of Gemini Crusaders, on, and we'll talk about his comic also. So, guys, I'll post stuff in YouTube. So please sign up for my book, and please be sure to back Bosch's book also. And that'll be it for us. Thank you very much. You guys have a great one. Bosch, you also have a great one. It's been a pleasure, man. Incredible honor. And that's it.
Take care, man. Be well, man. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. And we're out.